Evo već kasnimo u stvari, pa da pređemo na stvar. Dakle, David Lloyd je s nama, pretpostavljam kao i sa Brianom, ako ste ovdje da uglavnom znate o kome se radi. Pa ću početi u stvari odmah sa pitanjima Davidu. David, can you tell me first, how did you get here? How did you get invited? You were in Belgrade also, I guess. Did somebody there approach you, or?
No, I got here because Esad Ribic, my good friend Esad, actually I saw in Singapore, and we were at a convention in Singapore, and Esad mentioned this event to me and said, would you be interested in coming along? And I said yes, of course. So Esad was very good in asking the guys who organised this show to, you know, ask them if they wanted me to come along, and I said, you know, and then they asked me, and so that's why I'm here, and it's very nice to be here, and it's you know, everything I was told it was supposed to be. It was very warm, very nice place to be. Actually, it's too relaxing, really. I'm used to going to places where you know, there's a very heavy schedule. You know, you know, lots of signings.
More work than fun.
Yeah, you know, there's always, you know, it's work with fun tagged onto it. But here it seems like fun with work tagged onto it. So it's kind of weird. But it's great to be here, and you know, it's great. Thing is, I didn't know anything about this where we are. I mean, I thought it was a hotel, and I was just sitting in the hotel having a scotch. Not realising that I was supposed to be somewhere else. So anyway, that's how I got here.
Okay. Did you talk to Jamie Delano, who was a guest here a couple of years ago? You know who?
Yeah, Jamie. I was with actually Jamie and myself were in a festival in Pamplona, and he was telling me that he enjoyed being here in Makarska, and that I'd enjoy it as well. And he was right. So yeah, Jamie had a great time here.
So of course you're most famous for for Vendetta, but you did a lot of other stuff, and especially you're doing now for some time Kickback, right?
Yeah.
This is a comic book you're writing and drawing.
Yeah. I mean, if you spend most of your time actually illustrating other people's scripts, then you really get a chance to sort of write your own stuff. But in the past, I'd managed to write some short stories, but nothing substantial. And some time ago, I managed to get some free time, and I wanted to do something of my own entirely, and something substantial that said something. So I took the opportunity to do a graphic novel that was like my favourite crime movies. I always had this desire to do a graphic novel that was like my favourite crime movies. And my favourite crime movies are things like Bullet and Dirty Harry and Phone Cut, Point Blank, that kind of area of movie storytelling. And so that's what I did, and it's been out for a while. Kickback. I've sold it to lots of countries, but
that's what I wanted to ask you. Where it's been published originally, like Premiere? Is it French?
Well, it was originally published in France. The reason for that is that when I wrote Kickback, there were no crime comics were not really big in America at all. There was just Sin City. Sin City, that was it. I mean, things have changed since then. Of course, you've got The Losers, you've got lots of books, you've got Criminal, you've got lots of graphic novels that are about crime. But then in the American industry, you had nothing. So that was my first place to sell it. So I sold it to France first of all, because France is where they have all kinds of subject matter. They like, you know, books about everything. It's not like America. America is like almost completely dominated by the superhero genre. But in France they have everything, and they like crime stories. So I sold it as a book to France first of all, and then just by accident I sold it to Spain after that, and then Dark Horse, I sold it to Dark Horse in America, and then I sold it everywhere else. I sold it Italy, Germany, blah blah blah. But I mean, it's the big problem with Kickback in America was that Dark Horse didn't publicise it properly. It came out in the same year as V for Vendetta. It was actually released in exactly the same month as the DVD. Sorry?
That's marketing geniuses.
Yeah, marketing geniuses of Dark Horse did nothing with it. So I'm always happy to tell people about it around a place like this. So I managed to get some copies over here, and I can tell everybody that if you're interested in it, you can buy it on Amazon. So if you can't get any copies here, you can get it there. But it's a book I'm very proud of. It says something about corruption, which is like Vendetta. Vendetta, the only similarity between Kickback and V for Vendetta really is the thematic one, because they're both about corruption. V for Vendetta is about how a society becomes corrupt and how it can free itself from that, and Kickback is about a corrupt policeman and a corrupt police force and how he can free himself, how he decides that he's going to change the way he lives, and so that's the thematic similarity. But
from my experience and experiences from some of my friends and colleagues, French publishers can be very demanding about making changes and stuff like that. But I suppose your situation is different because you offer them your own creative comic book, and you have a reputation working for decades. So did that save you from interventions from publishers?
Well, I think I was kind of lucky in one sense and unlucky in another, because I did try to sell Kickback to various publishers in France where I might have had that kind of problem. But the publisher that I ended up with was a small publisher who I'd encountered just very briefly, because this guy had asked me to do a short story for him a couple of years before that, in which he'd given me complete freedom. He was compiling an anthology called Vampires, and he said, I just want a story about vampires, 5 pages, and you can do whatever you like. And nobody had ever asked me that. And I remembered him. This is a publisher called Editions Carabas in France, very small publisher. The editor was Jérôme Martineau, who's a great guy. But he trusted me completely. He liked my work and he trusted me completely. So at the end of the day, I ended up doing Kickback for him. The downside to that really was that because it was a small company, it didn't have much of a publicity budget. So again, I was kind of bitten by that lack of publicity problem. But the upside was that because I was working for Jerome and he trusted me so completely, he just gave me, he gave me complete freedom. I wrote just a few pages of full script, and then he just gave me freedom to the whole thing after that. So it was a blessing, because being able to have complete freedom in creating something like that is the best situation for an artist. Because if you're an artist, and you paint a picture, you don't want anybody behind you saying, oh, I think you should have a little bit more yellow there, or a little bit more blue there, or because that's not artistic freedom. So if you're writing and drawing some story that you think is important, you want that freedom. But I was very lucky there, and I had no bad experience with French publishers, and I'm glad I did.
Did the success of V for Vendetta brought you financial security, that now you can work on stuff you like without the burden of being a financial success?
Well, yeah, it has. I mean, I get lots of royalties from V, and of course the movie made book sales bigger, and continues to increase the profile of the book. So yeah, I'm blessed like that. But even before that, at an early stage of my career, I was very aware that there were lots of guys in this business who just go from one job to another because that's, they've got to earn a living. And I realized that if you put yourself in that situation, you might find that you were not enjoying what you did. So from an early stage of my career, what I always made sure of was that I had enough in the bank to carry me, so that if the next job I was offered wasn't what I really wanted to do, I could wait around for something interesting. I think it's really important if you count yourself as some kind of artist, you've got to enjoy what you're doing and enjoy doing something that you care about. So that's what I've always done. I've always tried to choose to do things that I think are worth something, or something that a story that says something. I've got nothing. There are lots of people in the business just happy to tell a story, whatever it is, just to earn a living, and I understand that and I respect that. But for me, I've got to be interested in what I'm doing and the story I'm telling. So, I did try to pick and choose. So, I mean, the situation now is that I've got an even better situation than I used to have.
And Vertigo has been they have a line of crime books for a couple of years now. Were you interested in doing that? It's a crime books, they are black and white.
Well, you see, I think that I'm not particularly interested in a genre. I mean, Kickback was a great story that I wanted to do at the time, but I'm not interested in crime per se. So, I mean, I want to do stories about all kinds of things, and there are all kinds of things to tell stories about. It's only I mean, for me, a story, the setting is not relevant. The most important thing is the people. I mean, the setting is a kind of backdrop. I'm interested in the drama of the people involved. So I'm not interested in telling crime stories as a sort of like, I like doing crime or I like doing this. I mean, I do have a proclivity for doing sort of like dramatic stuff. So that's what I'm always naturally kind of drawn towards, something that's got strong elements of conflict. But I'm not specifically interested in crime per se. And I mean, I've done Kickback, and the only reason I'd probably do a sequel or something similar would be if there was a movie made of it, and then that would be a good business decision. But otherwise, maybe I should do something else.
We don't have much time left, so I will allow if there are some questions, I suppose.
Working with Alan Moore, what was it like?
This question is like everybody asking this question. It's kind of crazy. There's not one single thing like this I go to where somebody says, "What's it like working with Alan Moore?" And usually that comes about because people, this big legend of Alan Moore, especially writing detailed scripts. There's just like everybody hears that Alan writes these incredibly detailed scripts for people, and what's it like, blah blah blah. I never had detailed scripts from Alan. When I worked with Alan, it was in the early days.